Hello, and welcome back to Real Time, where we talk about the movies we like.
And the ones we don't.
I'm Tyler,
And I'm Molly.
and for this video, we're going to be tackling these movies in spirit of the season, the Passover season. Now, does that mean we're going to do something like this every year for Passover? Yeah, probably not.
No, probably
If
not.
we're being completely honest, I just need an excuse to talk about these two absolutely wonderful movies. Although I suppose I didn't really need an excuse to do it. I just could have just been like, "Yo, we're talking about the Ten Commandments and the Prince of Egypt." Could have just done that. But I gotta be me. I gotta make it a little bit festive.
Yes.
Now, Passover in Jewish tradition, it commemorates when Moses led the slaves out of Egypt. Nowadays, it's used to sort of commemorate personal history. They talk about stories of the past, stuff like that. And I got that from a good friend of mine, Joshua Gradman. He's a pretty cool guy. He is the ex of Alex. He's Alex's ex. Yeah, I don't know why I said it like that. That was weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh well, keep going.
Anyways, cool dude. I like the guy, and and he also said he's looking forward to this episode. So hopefully you like it, Josh.
I hope so.
So, the first movie we're going to be talking about is The Ten Commandments. Now, this movie, directed by Cecil B. DeMille, is actually a remake of his earlier movie called, wait for it, The Ten Commandments.
Ah.
That original movie was made in 1953. This remake was made in 1956. So, remakes of movies isn't necessarily a new thing. It's been going on since the very start. With the advent of color, sound, bigger budgets, better effects, a lot of filmmakers went back and took their older movies and remade them because they could.
Yeah, it's just kind of funny that this was remade only 2 years after.
No, 1923, and then this one.
You said.
And then 1956.
I swear you said something different.
I did not say that.
We'll rewatch it later, and I'll probably be wrong, but that's okay. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
In my mind, I must have heard something different because I was like, wait. But yeah, okay. Continue. Sorry.
So, I presumably don't have to, tell you what this movie's about. Okay, it's the story of Moses, how he went from little baby, floating along in the basket in the river, to freeing the slaves of Egypt, growing up being a prince of Egypt, if you would.
Yeah.
And then he finds out he's one of the Hebrews, and he decides, okay, gotta free my people. Well, he doesn't do that right away, but he gets there.
There's some build up, yeah.
A lot of build up because this movie's almost 4 hours long.
Yes.
Which we had to break it up into 2 days, and we got to around an hour and a half on the first day. And I looked up the time of The Prince of Egypt, and I realized that movie is an hour and a half long.
So yeah,
so
this one was much longer.
So in the time we watched, the Ten Commandments, we could have watched The Prince of Egypt twice, and then watched it, then started it again.
Yeah.
But having said that, the time really doesn't drag. It's a very quick 4-hour movie.
Yeah, it's well paced.
So this movie, of course, stars Charlton Heston as Moses, probably one of his best known roles. Maybe the only one that really matches it is Ben-Hur from the movie Ben-Hur. Yul Brynner plays Ramesses, Moses' brother of sorts in this movie. Like,
they weren't brothers in this movie.
They're more cousins.
Yeah.
But they called each other brother.
Yeah.
They did. Yeah, they did. Yeah. And something. Now, I had seen this movie previously, but it had been years. Okay? I think the last time before this watch that I actually watched this movie was the late 2000s. And it's 2023 right now, if that gives you any amount of context of how long it's been. It's been a while.
I've never seen it, so long time due.
Yeah. So I just forgot that the conflict in this movie doesn't really come from the clash of these two brothers who once loved each other, and then because of forces outside their understanding, they're pitted against each other. No, in this movie, Moses and Ramses aren't really that close.
No, they kind of. It's pretty clear that Ramses is not a fan of Moses from the start.
Yeah, because Ramses' father, Seti, he clearly favors Moses over Ramses. Because Moses is just better at everything than Ramses is.
Yeah.
He's just top dog. He's Moses, Anne Baxter plays Nefertiri. In the beginning, she loves Moses, but then as Ramses becomes pharaoh, she has to marry him. Okay. Edward G. Robinson plays Dathan. That's a weird name. I'm sure it's biblically accurate, but he's a sort of a collaborator. He's a Hebrew that works with the Egyptians to further his own agenda. Yvonne DiCarlo plays Sephora, the woman that Moses marries when he goes to Midian. John Derek plays Joshua, one of the leaders in the Hebrew community in Egypt. He's kind of like the spark that kicks off the whole Moses helping them thing. He is romantically involved with Lilia, played by Deborah Paget. She brings water to people. Honestly, she doesn't have a big role, but Cedric Hardwick plays Seti, the pharaoh in the movie before Ramses. Nina Foch plays Bithia, Moses' adopted mother, even though this woman in real life was a year younger than Charlton Heston.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
Martha Scott plays Jochebed, Moses' birth mother.
Mom, yeah.
Judith Anderson plays Memnet. She was Bithia's servant lady. Not a big role. I don't know why she's credited over Vincent Price. That's weird. Anyways, Vincent Price plays a slave driver named Baka, which in the anime community nowadays, that means something else. John Carradine plays Aaron, Moses' brother. He honestly doesn't have a big role. That's weird. Olive Deering as his sister Miriam. Again, not a big role.
Yeah.
And there's a host of other character actors and stuff. In fact, let me find one of these because geez, this just looking at this IMDb page, it's really long.
There's a lot of characters, a lot of people.
One of which I'm looking for was played by. You know what?
Who are you looking for? There's too many people.
The little boy who played Alfalfa on the Little Rascals shorts. He was in this movie. He had like maybe one line.
Who was he?
I don't know. I can't even find it.
Why didn't you point him out to me when he was on screen?
Because I only just remembered it.
I really don't remember. He must have just been a little kid of somebody's.
Well, when he was in this movie, he was in his late 20s. Because remember.
Yeah, never mind. You're right.
Yeah, because the Little Rascal shorts were in the 30s. This is in the 50s.
Yeah. I probably didn't even recognize him then.
And even then,
I feel so dumb right now.
Even then, he was one among many in these
very
large crowds. Like I am going through this.
Huge. There were tons of people.
I'm going through this IMDb list. I'm scrolling fast. Okay, I just got to the end of it. Because look at this.
Yeah, there's a ton of people. Well, that didn't.
So
it's okay. They can't see. Lots of people.
Lots of people. Huge cast. And yep, I went to so his name is Carl Schweitzer, and literally on his IMDb page for the Ten Commandments, he's just listed as slave, uncredited.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Unfortunately, he fell off after, striking it big with the Little Rascals. But, we're not here to talk about the tragic career of Carl Alfalfa Schweitzer. Probably never going to get around to that, honestly, unless we ever talk about the Little Rascals movies.
Right. We've already talked too much off topic, so...
Do you know what show you're on? That's like half of what we do.
That's half of what you do.
Okay.
I stay on topic.
Do you, though?
Yes.
Yeah, she does.
I do.
So, what did you think of the Ten Commandments?
Well, after watching it, I guess my first initial thought was that was a pretty long movie. But, also, I did enjoy it. Like you said, it didn't feel like it was 4 hours long, but I think that helped because we kind of broke it up. We didn't sit all the way through to watch it.
No, we didn't, but I feel like I could have.
I don't know if I could have.
Look,
I probably could, but
look, you're talking to the guy who used to binge the Lord of the Rings trilogies, extended editions.
I cannot do that. But anyways, I really liked how, I guess the best word to describe it is big.
Epic.
Yeah, epic. How there's just a huge cast. They got so many animals for this movie too. I was just amazed at how many animals they had for this movie. How many people. The setting and everything was just so big.
This was back in the day when they had to get all those people and animals.
Yeah.
It's not like today where they could, make them all on a computer or something. They had to get all of those people and animals.
Yeah.
And honestly, yeah, the whole thing is absolutely massive.
Yeah, it's very impressive. It was, it was really cool to watch.
I mean, I'm just reminded by how much I love this movie when I first saw it when I was a kid. Because, like, when you're a kid, movies like this, or really a lot of movies, are going to look bigger than they are because, you're just a little kid.
Yeah.
But even now, this thing is still huge.
Yeah.
It's incredibly awesome. I love it. Alright, so this movie was, of course, nominated for several Oscars that year. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay.
Wow.
7 nominations, only 1 win.
Oh, for what?
Visual effects. Not for those green screens, though. Those were terrible.
Yeah.
Like, you just obviously tell they're not out in the desert.
No.
Especially when it's cutting between that and the scenes where they actually are.
Yeah, you can really tell.
It's incredibly jarring. But, presumably, I would assume, for the parting of the Red Sea. Now, do you know how they actually did that effect?
No. How did they do it?
Okay, so, the director, Cecil B. DeMille, filmed water flowing into a trench of some sort. And then, he reversed the shot to have the sea splitting in half. Pretty simple, but it's effective.
It works, yeah. Simple, but effective.
Now, this movie was also nominated for Best Picture, Best Cinematography, Best Art Direction, Best Costume Design, Best Sound Recording, Best Film Editing. I'm not sure what won that year, but yeah, who knows.
Nice.
Now, what do you think was your favorite part of the movie?
That's kind of hard. If you have a favorite part, you go first. While I try to think.
I'm not necessarily a favorite part so much as favorite. Just because like my favorite part about this whole movie is just Charlton Heston as Moses. He is just absolutely fantastic. He's not entirely biblically accurate though.
Yeah.
Since the real Moses, biblical Moses, yeah, same thing for us. He had a stutter. He couldn't speak very well. So God told him, "Hey, get your brother Aaron to speak for you. He'll do it."
Yeah.
And this Moses is very articulate. He's very commanding. Like, you would follow this guy.
Yeah.
If they told you he was the Messiah, not the Messiah, the deliverer, the Messiah doesn't come till later.
Yeah.
If they told you this guy was going to deliver you from Egypt, I'm following him.
Yeah, he
I'm
doesn't
following
really
this Moses.
have a need for Aaron, but
The only thing he has Aaron do is to give him his stick and be like, hey, do this.
yeah.
So yeah, and Aaron doesn't really have much of a presence in the movie, honestly. He shows up every now and again to fill out the background or something, which is unfortunate because John Carradine was an amazing actor. But yeah, Charlton Heston was absolutely great as Moses. I loved him in this movie.
Yeah. It was very good performance.
So, what about you?
Oh, it's so hard. I guess maybe my favorite part was, I guess, the plagues being acted on. Even though we don't see too much,
Yeah,
still
we see
we see
we see
a
4
little bit of
plagues.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Now hold on. Let me just quickly Google what the plagues were.
Blood, frogs, flies, locusts, boils,
Okay.
darkness.
Okay, so the 10 plagues are
I tried.
the Nile turning to blood, the frogs, the lice and flies, I guess, I don't know. The livestock pestilence, all the livestock died. Boils and sores, hail, locusts, dark. Okay, lice and flies are different. Locust, darkness, and killing of the firstborn. We see them turn the river to blood. Okay, pretty neat effect for 1956, honestly. We hear about the frogs. We hear about the lice and the flies and the livestock dying. They might have said something about boils. I don't remember.
Yeah, they did. It was mentioned.
And the locusts. We hear them mention the locusts. We see the hail. We kind of see the darkness, I guess. We just see Ramses all snuggled up in his blankie, just scared, telling his men, "You guys are wimps." Well, he's just snuggled up in his snuggie, just like, I'm not scared. I'm not scared. And then the killing of the firstborns.
Yeah. But I like. Oh, you go first.
Yeah, we see 4 of these. Now, I understand that, budgets of the time, they couldn't get all those frogs and lice and flies and killing all the livestock. They couldn't do that. But still.
And still, what I like about the plague scenes is that we see Pharaoh's logical reasoning as to why these are happening and why he's still stubborn to, listen to Moses. He's like, oh, the water turned to blood, so it made the frogs leave, which made frogs everywhere, and that made the livestock sick, something like that. I mean, he had like connections to these, and he was like, "Yeah, there's no way I'm gonna listen to you, Moses."
Well, yeah, because like the whole point of the 10 plagues of Egypt were God mocking the beliefs of the ancient Egypt. The Nile would turn red because of algae every now and again. This was God saying, "Hey, I can do that."
Yeah.
And the frogs and the locusts, they were just natural pests at the time. This is God turning that up to 11. It's just him taking all of their beliefs and everything that they held dear and just saying, "No, me, I'm the top dog around here."
Yeah.
And killing of the firstborn, well, that was like 2 pharaohs ago that he did that to the Hebrews.
Yeah.
And Ramses was planning on doing that to the Hebrews
Again.
Again, yeah.
Yeah.
And darkness, when because in the pantheon of ancient Egypt, Pharaoh is basically God. He's the morning and the evening star. So what does God do? Say, "Nah, dark." Basically.
Yeah.
Now, it's pretty easy to understand who my favorite character is, obviously. But what about you?
It probably is Moses. Though I did like the inclusion of Joshua, and I'll probably talk about him more if we do a compare and contrast section
Oh, we're
with the
done.
two movies.
We're gonna do that.
Okay, then I'll hold my thoughts till later.
That's a good point.
Don't talk about it yet.
Because I was about to say Joshua wasn't in the Prince of Egypt at all. Neither was Moses' son, who, to be fair, doesn't do much in this movie either. So,
We'll talk about it later.
we will.
All right.
Now, final thoughts on the Ten Commandments.
I will say it was interesting to watch. I liked watching it, but I have no idea when I'll watch it again.
I mean, I agree. I'm much more likely to watch The Prince of Egypt than The Ten Commandments, which might be a little bit of a spoiler for how this compare and contrasting is going to go. But,
Yeah, okay.
But, The Ten Commandments is still a monumentally epic movie. And it's also proof that, biblical movies don't have to suck.
Yeah.
Now, there's one more thing we, probably should mention. The cast is, very white.
Yeah, it's like... Yeah.
It's like 90% white. Like, there's some black people here and there, or like some Egyptians. They're like the side
slaves,
characters,
of course, yeah.
Although to be fair, they have plenty of white people as slaves too.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not like today where if they cast a movie with, that takes place in ancient Egypt and they have all white people in there, there would be some, they wouldn't do that nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just funny that these characters are, Egyptian and it's the whitest person.
Yeah, you get
Aesthetic.
Charlton Heston, the whitest name possible.
Charlton.
And he's Moses. Now, granted, you can't really dock the movie too many points for that, or really any, because that's just a product of the time. It's unfortunate, but it was just a thing that Hollywood did at the time. So, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna cut the movie some slack. It doesn't affect the quality of the movie to me. It is just weird to, point out, like, hey, all those people there, they sure are white.
Yeah.
Egyptians weren't, white. They weren't black either. They were in the middle, So it's just how it was back then. They cast white people as, everyone. I'm sure if Martin Luther King was a thing, they would cast him as, they would cast a white guy as him. I say that if he was a thing. He was a thing in the 50s.
I don't realize. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
bad
you should
analogy.
probably stop
Bad
talking
analogy.
while you're ahead, yeah.
But you know what I mean. And I mean, we see it with this movie. Lots of white people in all these roles, and the few black people that are in the movie, they don't speak.
Yeah.
They don't speak at all. They had maybe one line between all five of them.
Yeah. Okay. I'm ready to move on to the next movie if you are.
All right. Next, we're gonna go into The Prince of Egypt. Okay, so correction on the Ten Commandments. I thought I said 1923 to start. I actually said 1953.
I told him and he didn't listen. But
I thought I was right.
So we had to rewatch the footage.
We did.
But I knew he said it wrong. That's okay. All right. Sorry.
You're a big freaking dork.
I just knew you said. I was like, I know. I heard. Oh, anyways, it doesn't matter. It's okay.
So, The Prince of Egypt. Now, this was the second ever movie from DreamWorks. It was supposed to be the first, but they rushed Ants out the gate in order to compete with A Bug's Life.
Mm-hmm.
Gee, I wonder why they would do that.
Yeah.
Katzenberg, you wouldn't steal an idea, would you? He might.
Yeah.
So, this was originally supposed to be the first, but it wasn't. This really should have been the first because...
Yeah, it would have been a much better start.
Spoiler alert, this is probably the best DreamWorks movie of all time. Just putting that out there. This is a movie I really hold near and dear to me, and I absolutely love it.
It's good, but it's either that or Shrek 2. I cannot decide.
Alright, well, that's a respectable alternative, I guess. So, in this movie, basically the same story as Ten Commandments. If you want to know what happens here, just go back to that section. Yeah. Now, Moses is played by Val Kilmer in this movie. Val Kilmer also provides the voice of God in the burning bush scene and when they split the Red Sea. Mm-hmm. We also failed to mention Charlton Heston also played God in the Ten Commandments. Mm-hmm. Ramses is played by Ray Fiennes this time. And I don't want to start the comparison too early because we are going to do that.
Yeah.
But Ramses is so much more of a better character in this movie than he is in the Ten Commandments.
Mm. Yes.
But we're not going to get off topic right now.
Hopefully not.
Michelle Pfeiffer plays Zipporah. They spelled her name right this time. Mm-hmm. Moses' wife that he meets in Midian. Sandra Bullock plays Miriam, his sister. Jeff Goldblum plays Aaron, his brother. Though, funnily enough, Jeff Goldblum is the one who's most famous for playing characters with a stutter.
Yeah.
So it's like, y'all gave the stutter to the wrong person.
Yeah.
What the heck? Danny Glover plays Jethro, Zipporah's father. Patrick Stewart plays Seti, Pharaoh before Ramesses. Helen Mirren plays the Queen. Literally, that's what she's credited as, the Queen. Steve Martin and Martin Short play Hotep and Hoi, the comedic relief of the movie, if you want to call him that. Ofra Haza plays Yocheved, Moses' birth mother. And, there's some character actors here and there. Some of you may know, James Avery, better known as Uncle Phil on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and the 80s version of the Shredder on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Mm-hmm. He's credited as additional voices.
Nice.
He just did character work and stuff, just background stuff. It's it's the thing that voice actors do. That's why you'll see Yuri Lowenthal and Troy Baker with hundreds of credits on their IMDb pages, because a lot of this stuff is just background extras and just filling out the world. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying.
Yes.
So, like I said, this is my favorite DreamWorks movie, and possibly my favorite animated movie of all time. Just, if we ever do our favorite animated movies, that's definitely going to be on my list. What I really like in this movie, that, outside of all the epic biblical imagery and scale of it all, really, when you get down to it, this is a movie about two brothers who grew up with each other, clearly, and who loved each other dearly, only to find in their later years they're at each other's throats. They're against each other. They don't want to be, And at points, Moses says, I wish someone else had been chosen. And Ramses says that he wishes things could go back to the way they were. It's the dynamic between these two brothers that I do believe these two are brothers.
Yeah.
They are very believable as siblings. And I say that as someone who has bullied his fair share of siblings. Both of mine. Well, two of mine. Two of three. Anyways. I 100% believe that these two loved each other and still do. It's just factors beyond their control, whether it be pressures of the crown or literal God himself coming between them.
Yeah.
And it's just magnificent. I love it. Now, so what do you think of this movie?
I like it. I like watching it with you. I like the songs. Yeah, it's good. It is a good movie.
That's another thing we have yet to cover. The songs. So, this movie opens with probably one of the best songs in the movie, but it's really hard to say which song is the best one. The only song that I can say is not in that contention is Playing with the Big Boys Now, which
Yeah.
is still a fine song. It's it's fun, but it's not the same level as the others. It opens with Deliver Us, a song being sung by the slaves crying out to God for someone to deliver them.
Yeah.
Huh? That's not funny.
No.
Don't pity me with a laugh.
Sorry.
I'm gonna thank you though. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Deliver them to the promised land. The land that God promised that they would thrive in. And while all that's happening, Pharaoh's soldiers are coming in and killing babies,
Yep. Lots of babies.
stabbing them in the face and throwing them to the crocodiles.
Yeah.
I almost said alligators. Did I remember? No, that was crocodiles in Egypt, not alligators. Alligators are only in the United States and China,
Yes.
not in Egypt. Nile crocodiles. It's kind of under name. Like, where are they from? I don't know, man. The Nile, maybe? Nah, can't be. Anyways, jeez, what, are we ever gonna get this done?
I hope so. If you can, stay on topic.
We'll see. Yeah, it opens with that. And then the next song we get is Moses trying to affirm to himself, yeah, no, this life I've lived, this me. After he meets his real siblings, Aaron and Miriam, and she's trying to convince him that he's their brother, and he's like, no, I'm the Prince of Egypt. Do you not see my fancy stuff? Then she sings the song that their mother sang to him as she pushed him out into the river in the basket, and he realizes maybe there's something to this. Then we get is probably one of the most heartwarming songs in the movie. When the queen, she's trying to tell Moses, okay, sure, I found you in the river. You're probably Hebrew. So what? You're my boy.
Yeah.
And then we get the next song when Moses finds himself in Midian after he rescued Jethro's daughters from the from the bandits, I guess you can call them.
Yeah. Bandits.
To me, they didn't really do much besides try to cut in line at the well, but this is Jethro's way of telling him that, yeah, we have a simple life, but it's great. And then again, we get the high priest songs. It's very silly. A lot of theatrics with them trying to match Moses's turning his staff into a snake. They do the same thing.
Yes, sorta, yeah.
Not really, but it's clever though, because we get a huge flash of light and no one sees them switch out the snakes.
Yeah.
Then we get the plagues, which is probably the coolest part of the movie. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
We see all of the plagues. We see each one and what they do to these people, and how Moses is so conflicted about having to do this because, for most of his life, this was his land. These were his people, and he's just so he's just so conflicted about having to do this in order to free the Hebrews. Then we get the last song in the movie, which, incidentally enough, was actually nominated for and won the Oscar for Best Original Song that year, When You Believe. Now, there's two versions of the song in the movie. There's the one sung by Miriam and Zipporah, and then another one sang by Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey over the credits. But, I mean, either way, it's a great song. It's about them finally realizing, okay, we're free. I'm scared.
My favorite song is the one that is with the plagues.
The plagues?
I didn't say it at the time, yeah. That song.
I'm not sure which one is my favorite. Probably any of them but Playing with the Big Boys Now. Which, again, fine song. It's really fun, but no, it's not as epic as the other ones.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So, who is your favorite character in this movie?
I guess I might go with Moses again. He's a good leading character, a good main character.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
Mm-hmm.
I do like how in this one he's a little bit more biblically accurate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not entirely so, given that in the Bible, Moses wasn't necessarily brought up with Pharaoh. You know, they weren't brothers, so to speak. The Pharaoh that came along when Moses like, you know, let my people go, it wasn't the same as when as the Pharaoh when he was you know brought up in Egypt before.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing. Moses was found by Pharaoh's daughter, and then she got some Hebrew woman to you know do all the you know child rearing for her. That woman was Moses' real mother.
Mm-hmm.
And then later Pharaoh's daughter came back. Yo, this is my baby. I want him back.
Yeah.
So, So it's not a 1-to-1 comparison with the Bible, but while making this movie, they consulted with dozens of I guess priests of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam to make this as accurate and tell the best story possible.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, I could say Moses is my favorite character, and he is, but I wanna talk about Ramesses real quick.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, I like in this movie that as soon as Moses comes back from his years away, Ramses sees him, and he's just in absolute joy to have his brother back. So that he pardons him of the murder he committed,
Mm-hmm.
which he was going to do anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Earlier he says,
He's
yeah,
like, I can cover it.
we can make so it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Which get you a brother like Ramesses. You just killed a guy. We can cover it up. It's fine. And I really like how conflicted Ramesses is. It's not like in the Ten Commandments where it's like, okay, you're back, so go away.
Yeah.
I don't care about you or the Hebrews.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I'm going to keep the Hebrews in slavery longer now.
Yeah.
Which he wasn't going to give them up anyways, but
No.
you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
There's a real sense of tragedy with the relationship that I already talked about how much I love it, but I'm going to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
When Moses comes back and tells Ramses that I didn't come back to be the prince, I came back to free my people. And Ramses is, he's in disbelief because, he just thinks Moses just messing around like, okay, what's this all about? Mm-hmm. Come on, Moses. Mm-hmm. And when Moses gives back the ring that Ramses gives him, you see him go through so many emotions in this small amount of time. He's deeply sad about it. He just doesn't want this to happen. He's in denial, and then when he accepts it, he just turns instantly to rage. If Moses is going to be a problem, he's going to be a problem. Mm-hmm. And later on, we see how Ramses clearly wants his brother back, and they talk about how they used to always get in trouble when they were kids, but about how Moses would always get them out of trouble. And it's just so tragic to see this relationship break apart the way that it does, because you want them to somehow find a way to be brothers again. You want that to happen, but it's not going to be that way. It's not going to be that easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the relationship is very, very interesting to watch. Mm-hmm. Really helps the movie.
All right, so let's do some comparisons between these two movies.
Okay.
So first of all, the scale. The scale in the Ten Commandments is different than it is in the Prince of Egypt.
Yes.
Not only because of the different mediums used to make these movies, one being live action, the other one being animated,
Mm-hmm.
but also because of when these movies were made.
Yeah.
The Ten Commandments was made in the age of grand, vast Hollywood epics. Stuff like Ben-Hur or Gone with the Wind or Lawrence of Arabia. Movies like that just don't really exist anymore, and it's really unfortunate. As long as they may be, I would definitely wait. I would definitely sit in a theater for 3-4 hours watching these movies because they're just so awesome. Now, The Prince of Egypt is grand in its own way. It has magnificent art and animation in it. It has more exaggerated and personable emotions on the screen on these characters. You get because it's animated, they take advantage of that. You get to see how these people are feeling much better than we do in live action. I think. Now, that's not to say that we can't see that at all in the Ten Commandments, but it's more pronounced in The Prince of Egypt, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think so.
Now, on to characters. In the Ten Commandments, we have a lot of characters. Okay? In The Prince of Egypt, we have fewer characters, but I feel like the ones we do get, we get more out of them. And
they go through a lot more changes. They have more personality.
Yeah.
They're more individuals.
Yeah, in the Ten Commandments, we get a lot of characters, and some of them get arcs. Like I say some of them when really there's Moses and actually Nefertiti. She gets a pretty decent arc too.
Yeah.
But she's not even in the Prince of Egypt, which is unfortunate. And Ramesses, he's kind of a jerk the whole way. We don't get to see the progression from loving brother to hated enemy. We don't get to see that because he's basically the same the whole movie.
Yeah, I like in the Ten Commandments how they included Nefertiti. Because she does kind of, remarks in Ramses' ear after they're married. Oh, you should go after Moses. You should go kill him. You should do this. You should do that. She's kind of behind the scenes, making his choices for him a little.
She's kind of the
little ways.
She's kind of the devil on his shoulder.
Also, I like how Joshua is a character in this movie. Caleb's mentioned a little bit, I noticed, but Joshua's there.
Yeah.
So they do have Joshua, which is it's nice to see him, included, I guess.
Yeah. Like we said before, Moses' son, he's in the Ten Commandments, but he's barely a character. He has 3, maybe 4 lines, and then he's gone.
Yeah.
I also feel like the songs in The Prince of Egypt definitely help push the movie along.
Yeah, I like the songs. Yeah, as we discussed, the songs are nice.
Yeah.
I like them.
And, let's see. There's, like we said, there is a much more believable sibling dynamic in The Prince of Egypt than there is in the Ten Commandments.
Yeah. The relationships are much more interesting in The Prince of Egypt.
I believe their siblings much more in The Prince of Egypt than I do in the Ten Commandments.
Well, they're not supposed to be in the Ten Commandments.
Well, they call each other brother.
Yeah.
And for all intents and purposes, they are siblings, though.
Yeah.
They grew up together. They might be cousins, but they did grow up together. But like at no point do we get any sort of overt sibling love between them. We get a few moments here and there, like when Seti is telling Ramesses that Moses is most likely going to be pharaoh over him. Moses says, "Wait, but he came from you. Shouldn't he be? He's your actual son. Shouldn't he be pharaoh?"
Yeah.
and then Ramsey's like, "Don't stay out of this, Moses. This is between me and him." You know, that was kind of nice. And then later on, Seti gives Ramses the choice of what to do with Moses, and he could easily have him killed,
Yeah.
or just ran out into the desert and then killed. But Ramses has, he gives him a slight chance of surviving. Maybe some part of him really does care about Moses, and he doesn't want to outright kill his brother.
Yeah.
You know, think of it. This is gonna be a weird comparison.
All right.
Think of it like the relationship between Jonathan and Dio in part 1 of JoJo.
This is strange, but go on.
You know, while Jonathan was making his way through the castle, Dio didn't want to go face him because at the end of the day they were raised together as brothers. So he wouldn't want to kill the man who he was raised with. Now, granted, Dio still very much does kill Jonathan. You know, there's no way about it, but he still respects him.
Yeah.
Again, this is a weird comparison, but you know what I'm saying, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, God, I could turn anything into a JoJo reference, can't I?
I guess so. You're silly.
Yeah.
All right.
Are there any other comparisons you'd like to make?
I think I also liked in the Ten Commandments that Moses, he...
Wrong prophet.
He does slave work, and he kind of lives as a slave for a while there.
Yeah, he was...
Without anyone really knowing.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird, but I liked it. It's like,
Yeah.
he finds out he's a Hebrew. Well,
May as well join him.
gotta be a slave now. Which, to be fair, between... in the Prince of Egypt, between him finding that out and then leaving, it was a day.
Yeah.
You know, he barely had time to process it, let alone pick up a shovel and start digging.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was interesting. I forgot about that part when I saw this movie this time. And I think that really helped Moses in the movie because it makes him realize, okay, this is what I've been putting all these people through.
Yeah.
This lets him see the harshness of this world firsthand. Now, he may have had an idea about it from making these slaves build cities and stuff, but he wasn't really in there with them.
Yeah.
Although, to be fair, as a slave driver, Moses was a pretty nice one.
Yeah, he gave him a day off.
Gave him a day off. He gave them food from the gods' temples.
He saved the woman from
Getting
being killed.
Getting crushed by the big old thing.
Yeah.
Who he didn't even know was his biological mother.
Yeah.
He just saved her because Moses is a cool dude.
Yeah.
Let's see. Nefertiti, like we said, is not in the Prince of Egypt, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But the conflict driving these two different Ramesses is still interesting. In the Ten Commandments, we get a Ramesses who is spurred on by his wife, the devil on his shoulder, to be better than Moses. And then in the Prince of Egypt, we get Ramses still haunted by the ghost of his father, telling him not to be the weak link. Both of these are very fascinating ideas, and I love that they get explored. Man, both of these movies are so good. But probably no surprise, the Prince of Egypt is my preferred one.
Mine too, and I will say the length of it does play a part in that.
It does not for me at all.
And the songs.
Okay, yeah, that. Although the music for the Ten Commandments was still good.
Yeah.
It's it's old Hollywood grand orchestra. Now, granted, this is no John Williams. Let me just see who did the music for the Ten Commandments. Because just gonna make a guess. It's probably someone really cool.
Yeah, it was very, like you said, very grand. It fit the scale of the movie.
Elmer Bernstein. Okay, that's interesting. Elmer Bernstein. Would you like to know what else he has done?
Sure.
He has done. Oh, okay. Not starting off strong there, IMDb. Wild Wild West. It was this movie that Will Smith did in favor of, and he did instead of doing The Matrix. You can tell which one is better remembered now.
Mm-hmm.
But Elmer Bernstein also composed the music for. Trying to find one of these that I'm actually gonna say. Okay, The Black Cauldron, Ghostbusters, Heavy Metal, Stripes, Airplane, The Great Santini. If I'm not mistaken, he may have also done the music for. Oh, okay, cool. True Grit, the first True Grit movie. That was. But he may have also done the music for. Oh, cool. The Great Escape. Huh, didn't know that. Okay, I thought he did. I thought he also did Cape Fear. Maybe he did. I'm gonna look up Cape Fear.
All right. Well, I'm ready to wrap this up once you finish your thought.
And
You can find.
nope, that was Bernard Herrmann. Okay, what was I thinking?
I don't know. I don't know what you were thinking.
I'm just silly, is what I am.
Mm-hmm.
So, The Ten Commandments and The Prince of Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
Both wonderful movies that we can't recommend enough.
Yep.
Definitely watch both of them. If you've only seen The Prince of Egypt, maybe give The Ten Commandments a try.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Break it up into 2 days, or, just power through those 4 hours.
Yeah. Or if you've only seen The Ten Commandments, definitely try out The Prince of Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's people who've only seen The Ten Commandments and not The Prince of Egypt.
Probably.
You're probably old.
Yeah.
If I had a hazard guess, but you exist.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that'll wrap it up. So
We'll see you next time.
see you next time. Bye bye.